All right, here we have a really difficult limit as x goes to negative infinity of the square root of x squared plus 4x over 4x plus 5. What I need to do to tackle this limit is pull out the x squared from inside the radical. So I'm going to do that by doing the following. I'm going to say this is the limit as x approaches negative infinity of the square root of x squared times the square root of 1 plus 4 divided by x. I've factored out an x squared from the x squared plus 4x, so factoring x squared out of x squared gives me 1, and factoring x squared out of 4x gives me 4 over x. You can just check to see for yourself that x squared times 4 over x does indeed give me the 4x I need. I'm also going to pull an x out of the denominator, so factoring an x out of the 4x gives me x times 4 plus, and factoring an x out of the 5 is 5 over x. I know it seems foreign and weird to factor out an x from an expression that doesn't have an x, but that just means we're dividing by a factor of x when I factor it out. Okay, well, what I want to address here is the square root of x squared. A lot of people think, well, if you take the square root of x squared, you just get x, but that's not quite true. We need to know this rule involving absolute value that tells you when you take the square root of x squared, you get the absolute value of x. So what I end up with up above is the following. Limit as x goes to negative infinity of absolute value of x times the square root of 1 plus 4x, or 4 over x, all divided by x times 4 plus 5 over x. I'm going to address this in a moment, but let's start with the square root and the parentheses first. We're taking the limit as x goes to negative infinity. One thing you should know by now, hopefully, is 1 over infinity is 0, 1 over negative infinity is also 0. So when I go ahead and plug in infinity, this is going to be 4 over infinity, which is 0. This is going to be 5 over negative infinity, which is also 0. So I get 1 plus 0 is 1. Square root of that would just be 1, so I have absolute value of x, over x times 4, which is just 4x. Now I still have to deal with the absolute value of x over 4x. This is where we have to use these rules in blue. Recall that if the inside of that absolute value bars is positive, we just drop the bars. If the inside is negative, we replace the bars with parentheses and put a negative out in front. Well, how do I know the inside of this absolute value bars is negative? Well, we'll just check out the limit. The limit is going toward negative infinity. This is the value of x as x goes to negative infinity, which is to say the inside of these bars will be negative. And because of that, we're going to replace those absolute value bars by parentheses, putting a negative out in front, and then we have 4 over x. You might have tried to cancel this x and this x, but you can't do that just yet. You have to make sure you resolve these absolute value bars first. Once they're resolved, I can now cancel the x's, and I'm left with negative 1 over 4, and that is my final answer.